Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's edition of the 5D Deep Dive. And we're going to be diving deep into Mercury Retrograde and Venus Retrograde happening at the same time. So I think this is going to be a very interesting one. And we're going to ask how it's going to affect us in so many ways, but also the particularities yay, of this specific Mercury retrograde, because Sophie said in the last 5D news on Tuesday that it was going to be a very special one and their karma is going to be very, very involved. So we're going to dive into that and also how it affects the world. Do elites plan according to the retrogrades? Should we plan according to the retrogrades? And why Mercury retrograde is such a big deal also on the mainstream. So Sophie, are you ready to go? And are you excited for this one?
I cannot wait to see where questions are going to be about. And yes, I'm ready to go.
All right. She's ready to play the game, the trivia game. I love it. Okay, first I'm going to introduce a little bit the subject on an astrological level, and then we're going to ask questions for the cards. So I made this slide a while ago about the general do's and don'ts of Mercury retrograde. So just for the people that are not super familiar with the concept of Mercury going retrograde, it happens about 3 times a year, and it's a period of 3 weeks where it influences us a lot because we are very involved into mercurial things in our modern lives. So all of the devices, internet, computers, our phones, and we are accustomed to having speed with everything, to have an instant result if we look on internet for a question, for example, or to have, let's say we send an email, we expect an answer right away. So all of those things are mercurial. And when Mercury is retrograde, we can expect delays, dysfunctions. And it's not just because the universe wants to be annoying. It's because we should look inwards. It's an invitation that the universe is sending us to pause a little bit, to slow down our speed and to rethink, revisit. If we were always going full speed ahead into everything that we're doing, we would never take the time to pause and to reassess what we're doing, the direction that we're taking, and so forth. And funny enough, I noticed that a lot of developers, software developers, usually do upgrades during the retrogrades, which makes sense because you're made aware of some bugs or some, let's say, betterments that you want to do to a software or to anything in your life, basically. And it's just not maybe the time to implement it during the retrograde, but it's time to shed a light on it. So do's, it's time to identify and release limiting beliefs. Anything that was from the past, it's a really good time to revisit those things. So old projects, old ideas, rethink your plans, get more clarity. So it's not the time to take decisions, to crystallize projects, to make final decisions, important decisions, because usually our mind is not working in the same way that it's usually working. So we should allow more space for not knowing and relying a little bit more on intuition than maybe our brain. Also, it's the time to have tough conversations to clear the past, get clarity, get closure. So oftentimes you'll see that during the retrogrades, and especially now because we're going to have Mercury at the same time as Venus, which rules relationships. So we might see a lot of friends from the past or lovers from the past, either to reconnect because it's been a long time that we haven't connected, but also to get closure, to get clarity, to heal some stuff. Getting your things in order. So Mercury rules documents, rules papers, official documents, letters, all of those things that oftentimes we don't really want to look at. It's time to get them in order. And also reflect upon the direction of our life, of our projects. So if we have been, for example, taking a direction, it's now time to reevaluate it. Was it the right one? Or am I still going to go on that same direction when the retrograde is over? Or am I going to tweak some things? And it's probably going to be the case after this reflection. Also, take time for yourself, look inwards, meditate. So this is why why the Mercury retrograde was for. And when we're trying to force things to go our way, to be as rapid as we'd like them to be, it's oftentimes where we struggle the most with Mercury retrograde, because we're basically swimming against the current of the astrological energies when we're doing that. So the don'ts of the Mercury retrograde. So it's not advised to make important purchases, at least without thinking twice and doing proper research. So if you really have to replace something because, let's say, it's broken, it's not functioning correctly, do the proper research, pull some cards if you know tarot, ask a friend, just make sure that it's something that is not impulsive, because those are oftentimes regretted, deeply regretted after the retrograde is over. Also, rushing important decisions and actions, not the time to do that. Making important deals, contracts, because the elements.
I'm sorry, but that one I struggle with, because at least if you're a renter, you have to renew your lease right now with all of those. And I was curious to see what you had to say about this, if anything.
Yeah, it's the paradox of Mercury retrograde. So we say those things that it's not the best, but oftentimes we have to make decisions, sign deals, sign contracts, oftentimes, and get, let's say, new jobs. And so the only thing I would say, if you really have to, like, you have to, well, you have to really read it twice, or even more than that if you can, because you have to make sure like the fine print is in order. You have to make sure that you're not going to regret it afterwards. So it's like, pull some cards. Let's say you're an intuitive like yourself. Like, evaluate like both sides, like if you're staying, if you're not staying, like what are the options. Just make sure you put a lot of thought into it. If you do, you're not going to regret it. It's just that we can be impulsive when Mercury is retrograde, and oftentimes the decisions that we take are under, like, let's say our brain is not functioning in the same way. So it's just the thing we have to watch for. And also, oftentimes we want to travel during Mercury retrograde, which is the other paradox. So if that's the case, I wouldn't advise not to do so. Rather, just make sure that you are able to be flexible. So it's the same thing. Let's say if you have to really sign for your lease, is it something that can be more flexible? I don't know, maybe yes, maybe no, but maybe to have like this sort of discussion with the owner would be a possibility. Because if, like, you have the option to sign for less than a year, or if you're making travel plans and you can have the option to cancel or to modify your flight, this is the best, because oftentimes our plans change after Mercury retrograde, and especially now we're in eclipse season, so a lot can change. And so,
please share your travel story in Mercury retrograde. We love to hear that. I think many of us has tried to travel during Mercury retrograde in the past, and it always leads to very weird situations. So if you want to share, please share in the comments.
Yeah. Oftentimes, but now that I'm more aware of astrology, it's a lot better. But yeah, and even a week ago, I was already feeling the pre-shadow of Mercury retrograde, and I went on a road trip with Elena. And at some point, like, we turned off the GPS, and we were like, oh, we're good. Like, we know it's straight line, driving straight, and then an hour and a half later, we missed a turn that we should have taken, I guess. And anyway, so it added like 3 hours to our road trip. So we had to stop to get dinner, and it's not like necessarily a big deal, but it's just that you have to be more patient and more flexible than usual. Yeah. Okay, so this is for Mercury retrograde, and then I guess, yeah, we'll start with Mercury retrograde, and then we'll go back to that Venus retrograde at the same time. So let's ask the cards, Sophie, because of course, Mercury is the ruler of Gemini and Virgo. So let's first ask if people that are born under those signs or have strong placements in Gemini and Virgo, are they more affected generally by Mercury retrograde, or is it more beneficial for them?
It depends. It's more complex than this. It will
Mhm.
depend on many layers and your soul evolution. So if you let go or not. But I think that one of the things that I don't understand, but one of the things that it does to Virgos and Gemini, we have the card of survival instinct. So I think there's a lot of triggers that happens during those times for both signs. And I think it's just also an opportunity for those two to relax, to try to relax. And the triggers are there to basically, it's the external forces forcing them to basically try for them to relax. That is, if you understand that. If not, if you're pushing even harder, you're going to have even more resistance, and you're eventually hopefully going to just give up and relax, which in my case is impossible, but it's the lesson. And it says that we are going to be called, Geminis and Virgos, to also give up a little bit of illusions during those two that one, I'm sorry, I think that is talking about the Venus retrograde too, but in the Mercury retrograde we're being called to let go of, yes, illusions, but it's illusions that things that we can always control them and they're going to go our own way. So that's the illusion that is going to be released during Mercury retrograde.
That makes sense, because the last part will be in Pisces, and we're gonna Saturn is gonna be a player also in that big bunch and that big party in Pisces. So of course, yeah, I think a lot of illusions will be dissolved. Okay, let's ask now, and I think you're gonna love this question. Are pets affected by Mercury retrograde? And since, because there is a let's say, what's the expression? A link to my madness. They are ruled by the sign of Virgo generally in astrology. So Virgo, the ruler is Mercury. So are pets affected by Mercury retrograde?
It says that for them it's more of a detox of the body. So I think that during that time they can have physical symptoms coming out more, and it says more of a detox going on for them. So it's interesting that we're going through different energies, and pets are feeling it too, but it's different for them.
And it's interesting because you had like the survival card, like when we asked about the Gemini and the Virgo, and it seemed like Mercury also is can be also the nervous system to an extent. So it seemed like it's affecting that nervousness or that the stress level, that survival instinct for the animals also.
Well, the survival was more for human, but for the pets, it's about releasing for them. That can be stress too. That can be lots of different things energetically, because they're also there to purge out the energy for you and for the whole house. It could be that that's the moment where they're taking a break. I think we're being called to just try to relax and try to just let God, basically. And that's what the pets are being called to do also, but it's just more physical for them.
Yeah, it's interesting what you said, like about them absorbing a lot of our stress, and now like it's their time to release that stress. So that makes a lot of sense. Okay, and what's going on whenever we have a Mercury plus Venus going retrograde at the same time in the same signs? What's going on? What happens? What's the effect of those two retrogrades at the same time?
So it says that their energy is blending together. We're not going to be able to discern which one is affecting us necessarily. It says
interesting that I chose this picture, because like physically in the sky they're not together like this, and you have this card.
Yeah. So we're not going to be able to discern exactly. And I'm assuming this talks also about, you mentioned that there's a bunch of other planets in the same spot So
Yeah.
it's going to affect also those all the planets together. So what it says basically is that the effect needs to be that strong for lots of different reasons. Venus is in need of a purge herself. I don't know what it means, but this is how I'm seeing it. And she needed to have the recharge of other planets in order to do so. So that's one of the things that is going to happen during this retrograde period of time. And it's almost like the planets are showing the support to Venus in this.
Okay. And that leads me to, you're talking about Venus needs a detox. And it's so interesting because we're going to have a Venus star point, which I talked about in the Venus retrograde video. So if you're interested into knowing more, go watch this one. But basically, the Sun and Venus are making conjunctions. So they are meeting together in the sky every 9 months. And that's that, let's say, marks one of the points of the 5 pointed stars that Venus and the Sun make together. So meaning that this point is really important also because Venus is retrograde when she's making that conjunction, and it's at 2 degrees Aries. And when we say that she's being reborn when that happens, she goes through a process of death and rebirth, and she's going to be rebirth on the other side of the Sun, becoming a morning star. So this process is the death and the rebirth of Venus. And I had a question around that. Let me find it. Okay. So what's going to be the effect of this Venus star point, the conjunction between the Sun and Venus at 2 degree Aries? What's going to be the effect of this?
So judging by those cards, the effect of this is that everybody will have, and it's not just because of the retrograde, this is all of the things combined. We're going to have a total review on what is our values, what is our personal value in all aspects of life, money, resources, love, relationship in general, and our femininity. And it's going to also release a lot of information around how women have been treated, how money is being managed, how the value of human beings are seen. So she needs that purge because she's preparing in recharge. She is preparing for something big going on. I would say approximately 6 months in the future. I don't know what is happening there, but she's recharging gradually, and in approximately 6 months, there is something big going on for her that all humans will go through also. I think that we're purging a lot collectively and we're going to recharge slowly. And in 6 months, there's something big that is approximately 6 months. Something really big is happening where we're going to be tested on what we have learned through it.
Well, it's the next eclipse season. Yes. So this is going to be very interesting. I believe we have one in Libra. Let me check quickly because that's going to make sense if that's the case. So let me just check right here. Okay, no, so it's Pisces and Virgo. So the next eclipse season is going to be big for Venus in that sense. Okay, wow. Okay, so we know that both Mercury retrograde can signal some X's coming back. Venus retrograde too, and the two of them together even more. So, and fun fact, I'm gonna share that here, but just after I recorded this video, and I'm gonna show it to you guys, it was in the past stream, so of course, let's hope I'm gonna find it. Here. The Venus retrograde video. So I named it Karmic Partners, Soul Contracts, Money, and Exes. So right after I was done recording this video, I went to my mailbox, and during this video, I talk about like some personal experiences linked to that. So check this out. If you're going to be able to also make connections into your own life and your own Venus cycles. So I talk about like a particular ex that I was in a relationship with. And when that same Venus star point in Aries was activated for me, that this is when like I was like, what am I doing? Like I let my business on the side and I was way too focused on that relationship. So I decided to like change the energies around that Venus star point, and I decided to invest a lot more of my energy into Maison Jupiter at that point. And this is where we started together our tarot and astrology monthly predictions for the 12 zodiac signs, which was like the most popular video that we've produced together since we launched the channel. So anyways, I talk about that. And right after I stopped recording that video, I went to my mailbox and I found, I kid you not, a handwritten letter by this ex. And we've been broken up since more than 3 years. So let's just say, and I was like, oh my God, this is so crazy. I've been talking about exes coming back for like an hour now, and like this happens. So whatever. So in the topic of exes coming back with both Venus and Mercury retrograde, let's ask the cards. Well, first of all, why do they come back? What's the purpose? Is it the universe testing us if we learned the lesson well, or is it to bring closure?
It's to bring closure, but it's also to test you. So I think this is very clear that you still have strings of negative attachment or positive attachment to them, and it's in the process of grief that you need to either detach completely or also to heal the situation. So either way, you need to see the truth. Is it good chords, is it negative chords, and to finish your grieving process.
Wow. Okay. Powerful. And okay, the other question, $1 million question. And here I found this post on Instagram, which I thought was funny. The only reason you should go back to your ex if you both have had the conversation to change and are committed to doing the work together to resolve and repair. So question, can it be sometimes, in some cases, could it be a good thing to go back with an ex? What do the cards have to say there?
It says that it would be 1% only and less. So we have the card of zero, we have the card of the birds, and we have the card of charm and flattery. So I think that there is a lot of people that don't see the value of a person or a relationship until they lost it. And it says that it's either that they truly want to understand their behavior and work on it, or they simply like the chase and they simply want to not be in that place of grief. So is it a good thing? It's very rare.
Okay, well, good to know. And I found this also meme, going back to your ex is like reheating McDonald's fries. So even fresh McDonald's fries are not so good in my opinion. So can you imagine reheating them? Wow. Okay. Very interesting. Thank you for that. And okay, so let's go there. What happens generally to a relationship or a partnership started during Mercury retrograde?
Mercury?
Mercury.
Okay. So it says that there is an illusion that you are both alike, similar values, or both alike. There is an illusion there. It says that there is a sense, it says it's a trauma bond. I don't know why, but it says it's a trauma bond. I think that you are extremely karmic in that sense. And what happened is that you were not able to learn a particular lesson, so they send you that person. So it's rarely going to be a soulmate, or it's really going to be a person that you were truly meant to have a long-lasting relationship with.
Okay. Wow. Is it the same thing for Venus retrograde? So what generally happens to a relationship or partnership started during Venus retrograde? And I'm guessing it's going to be similar, but let's ask.
We have compromise. So old people comes from different grounds, and we have boundaries. So it is also a lesson of you are separation. Both are on 2 grounds. So it's the separation. It's because you are basically having problem either with being alone, or you have problem with putting boundaries in your life. So it's either you are very much like one person in a relationship and you need to learn how to detach from it, or you are or you are a person that struggle with putting boundaries and protection. So that kind of person is coming in your life at that moment to teach you how you need to be your own person and not to be one with someone. So normally you will meet people who are either not truly ready for a relationship, not available emotionally. You're going to meet people who are extremely positive, or the reverse, you're going to have extremes.
So a big lessons about self-worth and what you're looking really in a partner.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. And I found this video cover, which I thought was hilarious. So the question here would be, why is mainstream so obsessed / scared by Mercury retrograde? And I believe I have like one part of the answer, but I want to see like what the cards have to say there, because I know that it's probably the most evident 3D way that people can validate that astrology really works on a practical level, because we are surrounded by mercurial things, and when they start going haywire, you really notice them. But also, like, the other theory I have, is it an attempt to divert people from going inwards, like to really going through the real process of Mercury retrograde, rather than just like bitching about like how annoying this is? So why is the mainstream so obsessed by Mercury retrograde?
It rules the media.
So
there's a big fear on the high up circles that the Mercury retrograde will have a negative effect. So it is a way, I think, to put this energy back on the one-on-one person and not on the media. So it's like kind of a remedy to the energies that higher groups are using. So they're really afraid during Mercury retrogrades that there is going to be mistakes, reveal, and stuff like that.
And it's interesting because you're alluding to kind of I don't know the word that you use, but like kind of a remedy. Because in astrology, if you use like the archetype of an aspect of placement, let's say in one way, you can divert like the energy from using it from, let's say, manifesting in another way. So if they're like focusing on, oh my God, like all the devices, internet is going haywire, it's preventing this energy to go on the spotlight on, let's say, the top of the pyramid, right? What are they really scared of, like, for us to discover during Mercury retrograde?
Well, they're afraid of the big reveal. So we have the parasite and we have the company she keeps. So they're really, they're super afraid of all of the dark side being revealed, everything. So it's basically, I think they're going to call it Mercury retrograde oops if there is any type of word that comes out or anything. And it's the remedy is very strong in this also. Revelation is what they're really afraid of in general about everything.
They're scared of people connecting to their higher selves, right? Because this is where we have like the most open channels and we're able to see the truth for what it is really. So they're trying to prevent that by us going in the world and be like, as, let's say, trying to get things really quickly like we're used to, but like when we're doing that during the Mercury retrograde, it like backfires.
Yeah, and one more thing is, it's because we had a message that the lesson is to learn to relax or something like that, and they don't want us to relax. They want us to stress in our place.
Yeah, to keep, like, let's say, pedaling in the hamster wheel. Okay, and talking about them, about those elites, Are they planning according to the retrograde? Like let's say their lawsuits, their big events, are they planning according to the Mercury retrograde? Let's ask.
I think we should stop calling them the elites, right? It's sending us such a good image.
The powers that were.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Okay, what was your question? I'm sorry.
Are they planning their things according to the Mercury retrogrades or the retrogrades?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They're looking at all of the astrology, all options, all way to go, and they're choosing the one that is the best. So always, 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 yes, absolutely. It's basically saying that it does the work for them if they plan accordingly to the astrology.
And what are they like? What's the power of Mercury retrograde that they're looking to take advantage of?
It says recharging. So it's draining us, I feel, because it says that they are recharging, and we have hunted, this word that I cannot say, and we have the baby. So basically it's just keeping us on a loop. And there is so much pressure. I don't know if you felt that in the last few years, at least in Quebec. Let me know in the chat where you are if that was the same. But before I left my 9-to-5 job, I felt that they were trying to say everywhere that there was less and less people. So you had to do 2 jobs or 3 jobs. So they are trying to put a lot more of pressure on the workers. Yeah. So during those times that we're trying to relax, that we're supposed, the lesson is to relax, putting more pressure, it's just feeding them.
Yeah. Depleting our batteries and recharging them. So, okay. And along those lines, what is the most beneficial thing that we can do during the Mercury retrograde to have to be on the highest possible timeline after it goes direct?
Communication, words, writing, journaling and writing. This is super interesting because I think that, yes, we're not having the normal thoughts like you were saying, but in the same time, we can have things that are super interesting for after. So you may not see it during though. So journaling, you can also record your voice if you don't like to write, but just having some kind of journal, some kind of keeping track of what your thoughts are, what your pattern are, and to listen to it after. There is going to be reveal. Yeah, you're receiving some kind of download or messages, but you're not able to use them with your brain during Mercury retrograde.
So you have to open up the space to receive those messages that are going to help you find better solutions, ideas. Okay. And honestly, since I'm more conscious of that, I can say my Mercury retrogrades are going really well, except let's say minor annoyances of life, but on the bigger scale, I can feel like I'm flowing even more with the energies. And after the retrograde is over, I know even more where to invest my energies, and I create that space. So if you can do that too, I'm sure it's going to be super positive for you guys. Okay, so this famous personality that is ruled by Mercury, he is a Gemini sun. So can we expect Trump to post more, let's say, impulsive tweets on his platforms during Mercury retrograde? How it's going to affect our lovely president?
Ups and downs in his level of leadership. So we have both extremes, pushover and ball of fire. Those are the both extremes, and it's in red, so that's interesting. So is going to be sometimes not feeling it, some days feeling a little bit off, something is just not right, and other days extremes. So I think that he's not going to have the patience that he normally gets, but all of this is helping him. The post, I'm not sure if he's going to write, but I'm really sure I'll try to say that correctly. I'm really sure that he's going to take risk, because what we have is Viva Las Vegas, my card for gambling and risk. And we have the card of woman. So I know he's going to take risk. The woman card could be a real woman, or it could be about his intuition. So it's not just about a woman per se, technically, this card. I do believe that he is going to rely more on his intuition than on his brain, on the facts, because he's going to feel off. So he has another way to connect with for decision making, and there is going to be delays on big stuff that is going on right now before there is progressions, before there is resolve. I'm assuming this is talking about the tariff and other cases.
Yeah, and all the talks about like resolving the WAR. So can we ask the card, is he aware of the Mercury retrograde, and does he plan his strategies accordingly?
Tough to say. We have the observer, self-worth, and oh yeah, he said, yeah, absolutely. He has I think he has an astrologer. Yes. Yeah. He has an astrologer.
What's the card? Heavenly what?
Heavenly star.
The heavenly body. Yeah.
But we do have the crown. Is he a Leo?
He's a Leo rising, just like me, on Regulus, on the little king star.
Yeah. So that is one of the things that he wanted to learn about when he started to have consultation with his astrologer. He wanted to know more about his status, how he's being seen. He wanted to do more with this. So he has a personal astrologer.
Makes sense. And you're talking about how like he's going to feel more impulsive. And that's also because Venus is right now retrograde in the sign of Aries. And Venus will be retrograde in 2 signs until like it started on March 1st, and then she's going to be direct on April 12th. So for 40 days, first in Aries, and Aries is like the sign of impulsivity. And so Venus wants to pursue its desires in Aries. So it's shining a light on many dissatisfactions. We might be more impulsive buys, wanting to send impulsive messages. So just beware. And the next sign is going to retrograde, and it's the sign of Pisces, where we're going to see much more karmic things, because it's going to meet with the North Node, Neptune, Saturn. We're going to be reviewing soul contracts, understanding soul contracts, hopefully, and having clarity about our life mission, our soul contracts. And also we can see some karmic rewards coming. So my next line of questions is going to be about Venus retrograde this time. And let's start by asking, and where do I have my question here? Okay, are there a lot of people who are going to end, let's say, karmic relationships or partnerships during that retrograde or right after?
Oh, yes. So the wrong ones only, of course, because it will emphasize if your relationship is good or not. So the good ones, it's going to feel way better. You're going to feel privileged. You're going to feel lucky. You're going to want to review to keep that relationship, as you should, but this is going to do it. And for those of you who are in a bad relationship, or you know people who are in a bad relationships, you're going to see that there is a big pressure on them to prioritize themselves and to know what they are worth.
I love that. And is it possible to end or modify a soul contract during this time?
Absolutely. It's interesting because we have the card of the child, the kid. So I think that this means that you are responsible for your own soul contract throughout your life. You can absolutely modify it. You can also change how you react to it. You can change your soul contract. You can remove difficulties by doing multiple changes. You can also heal it says tribe. So you can heal from your ancestor wounds. There is a lot of stuff that you can do during your life to end karma, remove stuff. Yes.
And I'm saying that because not only we have the Venus retrograde, the Mercury retrograde in the middle of eclipse season, but also like the really important energies in Pisces that we had. We had the Neptune North Node conjunction in February. They're still really close. Saturn is coming by. So planet of karma in the sign of Pisces, the sign of karma. And the North Node is there, which is like, it's not just endings. It's also about like catapulting us into a new way of living without those burdens, without those heavy patterns and heavy weights that we've been carrying from life from lives to lives, basically.
Amazing.
Okay, so let's ask, I guess, will we see the results of past karma as, let's say, maybe rewards or consequences now during the Venus and Mercury retrograde or after the retrograde?
Okay.
So if the answer is a yes.
It says it's like a pressure increasing. So depending if, I cannot say that because I think it's going to be, depending on if you have learned the lesson or not, fully or not.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a big part that is on those two topics here. Have you claimed your own karma yourself, or have you still stuck to the right path? So knowing that universe is going to take care of it and you just mind your own business and you do your thing. Okay. I'm not there. There's going to be like many different ways of seeing this, but I'm not talking about like calling someone on what they're doing wrong. I'm just saying that if you have somebody wrong that doing wrong to you, you don't act in revenge. That's what I'm saying here. So if you are treating people with respect, with love, and you still can call their wrongs, you can still do it, but you need to be in a place of not revenge. You need to release that and to let go of emotional cords. If you have rage, if you have anxiety about this, if you have physical symptoms, if you have anger, this are all symptoms of you still have energy cords, you still have energy leaks, you still have those type of things inside, and those things are limiting the karma, because the consequences are coming, the reward and the negative are coming at the end of it. They're coming when the person that has been wrong has released those things and is ready to close the topic, is really ready to let go, and we're moving on. So then universe is stepping in and saying, let's just do the karma, and we're going to be ending that lesson. So if you want someone that has wronged you to have the karma, you need to make sure that you don't have cords of attachment, that you have learned the lesson, that you have been keeping your head high, and you have been in high vibration, and it's going to naturally happen. I would say during and after, depending on where you stand.
Okay. And again, talking about Venus retrograde, what is the most beneficial thing that we can do for like our highest good and getting like let's say the best karmic rewards for that Venus retrograde? What's the most beneficial thing we can do during that time?
It says that we need to understand that this is not a one size fits all. So it says that whatever is bringing your vibration high is good for you. So it's not to follow what others are doing to feel right. It's what you need, and honor yourself in this. So that includes if you need to cry, because we have so much energies during those eclipses and everything. If you need to cry, if you need to sleep, whatever is for you, good or bad, what is needed for your energy to feel better, restored, and your vibration high is what you need to adjust to do without judgment.
Okay. Self-love, basically, which is what Venus rules. Okay, so tend to your own needs, and also Venus in Aries is a bit more egoistical, so tending to your own needs first and not thinking about like we do oftentimes, like, oh, is so and so okay, and let me let's say bypass my own needs to make sure that they're okay. So this is saying no, like tend to your own needs and make sure, because like I'm guessing that this is like a really important phase for us to raise our frequency. Can we ask the cards if the retrogrades are a slingshot kind of phase for the frequency for us to get like to a next level of frequency of experiences that are more positive?
Oof, there's a big mix or big negative and positive in the cards.
It really depends.
Because of the rest of the planets, it's really a karmic retribution. So if you have not done the work, you will feel horrible in a sense, because you will be we will be made aware that you're not in the right place in that sense.
Yeah, I have a feeling personally as an astrologer that you're talking so much about karmic retribution for this particular retrograde because it's such like an important transit because we have the eclipses. It's meeting like a lot of karmic planets within the sign of Pisces, the North Node. So it has like a whole new frequency to it which is different from the regular retrogrades. Can we ask if like all the karmic stuff that you're seeing is for this particular
Sure.
retrograde, March, April?
Yeah. It says for a whole year.
Okay. Okay. Another question that I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to know. So it's not usually advised to buy or sell property during especially a Venus retrograde because Venus rules purchases, money, agreements, also Mercury, but to a lesser degree, I would say. And a house or property is probably like one of the biggest purchases or possessions that you'll ever own in your life. So, and I share a story in the Venus retrograde video that I intended to buy a house that I really wanted before the one that I really got, and it was during a Venus retrograde. So I was like, oh, maybe it's not a good time, but like my heart was like, no, this is the house that I want. So anyways, I kind of let it on standby and someone else purchased it in between like an offer that I made. So I was super disappointed. But then when I found this one, I got it for a lot less and I'm super happy about my purchase. So, but I share my personal experience here, but also I have lots of friends right now that are putting their house on the market or are willing to buy at the same time. So can we ask the cards what happens generally to people selling or buying property during a Venus retrograde?
Is it okay if I pull on this particular one? Because all of this hour I have been pulling on this one because it's such a different energy.
Okay, let's pull for this particular Venus/Mercury retrograde because Mercury retrograde will be like inside the Venus retrograde period.
Yeah, and let's not forget for everybody buying cars, it's even worse with Mercury retrograde in the same time.
Yeah, because Mercury rules vehicles.
Yeah. So houses. Okay, so it says that you may have regrets after you're leaving your house. It could be also because of the spider web. It could be also indication of it could be on the market for a long time. There could be big changes of the market prices, big changes on the market because of the retrograde, which rules also the money. It's recommending that you are staying put. Of course, it says that if you are to choose otherwise, you do need to make sure that you're willing for all of the circumstances that are coming, because the energy is just super intense. So for those of you who have to do it, just be aware that you're not in control. Yeah, Jekyll and Hyde, it could go either way. So the prices could be going up or going down really shortly or in the same period of time. You're not in control. So you need to be extremely at peace with whatever is happening. If you need to sell it or buy it, you need to be at peace with it, whatever surprises are coming your way. If you're not at peace, if you're not willing to do that, and you have a window of opportunity to delay it.
So it's a big gamble, basically.
It's a big gamble.
Can we ask the cards, like, is it better during this retrograde, is it better, more beneficial for the sellers or the buyers?
It's beneficial for the buyers.
For the buyers, okay,
Yeah.
because they're gonna have a best deal.
Yeah, but not all of them, of course. But it's in general, it's more beneficial for the buyers. I'm seeing a lot of structural problems in the readings that I'm doing recently for people wanting to buy. Water damage and structural. So that's Neptune and Saturn, I think. And they're all in the mix, and I didn't know that. So that's interesting that
Saturn is in Pisces right now, so that can also be why.
This is what is coming up a lot in the readings. I would be crazy enough to ask for a second opinion on the evaluation of the house to be at peace, because
or book a consultation. Do yourself a favor, because it's one of like the biggest purchases you'll ever do in your life. So you don't want to have surprises, especially during a retrograde, if you have to do it.
And side note, you'd had that problem too, and you had an evaluation and it didn't find out the structural problems.
But you told me in a card reading, you said you're going to have something about the structure to fix. So yeah, the evaluator didn't see it, and I found out after. So I was like, oh, you know what? You were right. One more time. And she's like, okay, wow, interesting. So if you can delay. If you can't, make sure that you're at peace, because there could be swings up and down with the market before and after. Let's say on a collective level, how is this going to influence the economy, this retrograde?
I feel like it's almost like a wheel of fortune. I feel like it's going to be unpredictable, almost.
Mood swings.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is pretty much what I have. I think there's going to be a big down and an up. So I think this is why I'm having the roller coaster. Yeah, death and rebirth, it says.
Death and rebirth. Okay. And you briefly talked about cars. So now let's ask for, let's say if someone needs to buy a vehicle, a car during this Venus/Mercury retrograde, what's the consequence of that?
It says that car could be having a lot of problem with electricity. I know, but that's what it is. It says also that this car could have problems that nobody can help you with. It's almost like it's going unseen.
Undiagnosed, yeah.
Yeah. And it says that you cannot sell that car afterwards. And car can be stolen during that period of time. Also, it's not related to buying, but I see that your car can be stolen more during that specific retrograde that we're going to have.
Yeah. Already during the pre-shadow, Elena had some parts of her car being stolen during the night in front of her house. So yeah, make sure you're backed up.
It says also to not take road trips during that period, because it may cost you a lot in repairs.
Okay. Yeah. Do you remember last time you went on a road trip during a Mercury retrograde?
No,
you don't remember?
Which one was that? I have a road trip every month, almost.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly, but I remember I said, "Are you sure?" And you're like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "Okay," and you're like, "Never again."
So far in my road trips, I have been under a tornado alert, several blizzards, and I had learned to drive this year. That was my first year of driving. I had learned to drive.
Yay! Bravo. Okay. And lastly, maybe a last question to end this one. So can we ask the card, generally speaking, what this March-April retrogrades will bring? Let's start on the personal level. And this is a chart of like all the retrogrades that we're going to have. The outer planets are they just happen almost like half of the year. But the personal planets, when they go retrograde, it affects us even more because they're closer to the Earth. So on a general level, will those retrogrades bring on a personal level? Let's say Venus and Mercury.
It will call you to review who is good, who is bad for you, and what is good and what is bad for you. It will be a lie detector in your life. It will assess everything, every little details of your life, and tell you what needs to go, what can stay. A deep transformation overall, a major transformation where you're going to have a lot of purification from your life inside out. You're going to have a new identity because of it, and better vibration, better luck, because in general, what is going to be revealed is, okay, this is not good for you. Stop putting your intention there, your time, your money, whatever it is. And it's going to realign you drastically.
I love that. And talking about realignment, we just launched this new bundle, which is going to be the New Moon Activations Transformation Journey. So we're inviting you to hop on this huge transformational journey with Elena and I. So we're going to go through 10 activation every month through the year of 2025. And we're going to start with the eclipse right in the middle of the retrogrades, because we want to use those portal of transformation and revisit of the past to make sure that we clear old chapters. We're ready to step into the new, also to spring when we spring I just made a verb, when we are ready to hop on the spring equinox also. So we're going to start this journey on the eclipse of March 29, which is going to be on March 28. We're going to have a new moon activation with singing bowl. We're going to do a pick a card with special messages for you. We're going to talk about astrology, of course. So these new moon activations are going to be deeply transforming. We're going to use this year the energy of the universal year 9 to support this huge transformational process, which is the year to let go of past karmic patterns, past karma, liberate ourselves in every sense of the word. And also we're using the snake year in the Chinese astrology in order to re-empower ourselves, find our deepest strength, to shed our old skin, being reborn into the amazing humans that we are. So we're going to do that collectively, help and support each other into this process. So join us. It's going to be a really fantastic yearly journey of new moon activations every month, where we're going to meet together and send our healing energies to better ourselves, but also our world together. And we have a special offer until March 28th to save 25% off on the whole bundle, which is going to be a one-time only offer. And then the activations are going to be available individually. But this is the only time where the whole bundle is going to be at 25% off with the code Eclipse25. And it is very affordable. And we made sure that everybody is going to be able to join us. And I think it's going to be a fabulous time. So please do join us. The link will be down below. And the code is Eclipse25, available only until March 28th on the 10 new moon activation bundle. So thank you guys for joining us there. And also, if you'd like to book your one-on-one consultation with Sophie or Sol, you can do it now on the MaisonJupiter.com website. The link is down below. And don't forget Jupiter as your code to save 10% off. Sophie, you're quite busy, but I heard that you added some more dates for our wonderful clients of the community.
Absolutely. So if you want to have a reading, you can have it as fast as next week so far. So book it fast, because it will go probably very fast. I opened a lot more of my schedule, and this is for the spring. So yes.
The eclipse season, which is always a season of many surprises, right? So what I did this week is that I left a little bit of my calendar open because usually this is what we have to do. Stay flexible, make sure that we carve out sometimes for the unpredictable. So if you also have some unpredictable or unexpected question, you can book your appointment with Sophie or Sol. and have the guidance that you need to go through this amazing phase. And I believe it's going to be very karmic, as you said, very transformational. So looking forward to it, definitely. Thank you so much for shining a light on those beautiful topics. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And do make sure you hit the like if you did enjoy this show. And make sure also you are subscribed to the channel and you hit the little bell icon so you don't miss any of our shows. And thank you so much. If you missed the meditation that we did today live at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, it is available on replay on the channel. So as powerful on replay as it is live. So thank you for joining us and have a beautiful rest of your week. Bye, everybody.